Hello, everybody.
Next, the court's going to take up a Dickey County matter. State of North Dakota versus James Irvin Hutchinson Jr. Case number 11-2024 CR 35. This is a time and place set for an initial appearance and bond hearing. Mr. Hutchinson, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, again, this is a Dickey County matter. Mr. Hutchinson is appearing from the Stutzman County Correctional Center, and we have the Dickey County State's Attorney Kimberly Rademacher is appearing via Zoom, reliable electronic means. Ms. Rademacher, can you hear me okay?
I can, Your Honor. Can you hear me?
Yes. All right, again, this is a time and place set for an initial appearance. There was an information that was recently filed into this case. Mr. Hutchinson, did you receive a copy of that information?
No.
All right, I'll pull it up for you. While I'm pulling that up, did you have an opportunity to review the rights video that was played in the Stutzman County Correctional Center?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about those rights?
No.
Do you understand those rights?
Some of them.
Which ones do you have questions about?
None.
All right, so you do understand the rights?
Yes, sir.
What's that, sir?
Said yes, sir.
All right. If you have any questions for me, this is the initial appearance, so I just want to make sure you're fully informed of all your rights, okay?
Yes.
All right, can you see the information that's on the screen there, sir? It says criminal information on the top right.
I can see it, but I can't read it.
All right. How about now?
Right back down about where it was.
All right, can you tell if your name is spelled correctly in the top left corner?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right. All right, so the state is charging you with a Class C felony. You have the right to have me read this, a formal reading, word for word, or I can summarize it. What would you prefer?
Class C felony.
Yes. Would you like me to summarize the charge or read this document word for word?
Just summarize it.
All right, so the prosecutor is charging you that in Dickey County on or about June 23rd in Dickey County, North Dakota, that you committed the following. Count 1, terrorizing with a dangerous weapon with an adult victim, which is a Class C felony. By then and there with intent to place another human being in fear for that human being's or another's safety or in reckless disregard of the risk of causing such terror, threatening to commit a crime of violence or act dangerous to human life and in the course of committing such offense threatens another with imminent bodily injury with a dangerous weapon, explosive, destructive device, or firearm. Specifically, that on or about June 23rd, 2024, that you threatened to kill an individual with the initials DA while brandishing a loaded .22 revolver with the intent to place DA in fear for his safety and or in reckless disregard of the risk of causing terror. This occurred in Oaks, Dickey County, North Dakota. Do you understand the allegation against you?
Yes.
This is a Class C felony punishable by a maximum 5 years in jail and a $10,000 fine. Do you understand the maximum?
Yes, sir.
It also carries with it court fees in the amount of $525. Do you understand the mandatory court fees?
Yeah,
And there's also a mandatory minimum prison term because the state is alleging that it occurred with a dangerous weapon. And the minimum imprisonment for committing this offense while using a dangerous weapon is 2 years. Do you understand the mandatory minimum sentence?
yes,
All right, so the maximum of 5 years or $10,000 and a mandatory minimum of 2 years imprisonment. You understand the maximums and minimums?
yes,
And count number 2 is alleging terrorizing with a dangerous weapon, a Class C felony. That on or about June 23rd, 2024, that you threatened to kill DA while brandishing a .22 caliber revolver with the intent to place DA in fear of his safety and or in reckless disregard of the risk of causing terror. This is a Class C felony. Do you understand the allegation against you?
yes,
And again, this is punishable by a maximum 5 years imprisonment and $10,000 fine, as well as mandatory minimum court fees in the amount of $525. Do you understand the maximum sentence?
yes,
And it also carries with it a mandatory minimum of 2 years imprisonment if found guilty. Do you understand this?
yes.
Count number 3 is alleging terrorizing with a dangerous weapon, Class C
Did
felony.
you just say that?
I did, and this one
Excuse me.
states that on or about June 23rd, 2024, James Hutchinson did threaten to kill TS while brandishing a loaded .22 revolver with intent to place TS in fear of her safety and or in reckless disregard of the risk of causing terror. This occurred in Oaks, Dickey County, North Dakota. Do you understand the allegation against you?
Yeah. Can I make an allegation against these TSs and stuff?
Not at this time, sir. Right now, I'm informing you of what the
Really?
state is alleging against you. So the
Okay,
first 2 allegations were the victim with the initials DA, and this one was the
Yeah.
victim with the initial TS. Do you understand that?
yeah, yeah, I understand that.
All right, and this is a Class C felony punishable by a maximum 5 years imprisonment and a $10,000 fine. Do you understand the maximum?
Yes,
It also carries a mandatory minimum imprisonment of 2 years. Do you understand the mandatory minimum?
yep,
Also, court fees associated with a Class C felony are mandatory court fees in the amount of $525.
yep,
Count number 4 is alleging criminal trespass of a dwelling, which is a Class C felony. By then and there, knowing he was not licensed or privileged to do so, entered or remained in a dwelling or in a highly secured premises. Specifically, that on or about June 23rd, 2024, that you entered a residence of DS without knocking or otherwise being invited therein, and thereafter threatened to kill DS and others while brandishing a loaded .22 revolver, again occurring in Dickey County. Do you
And Your
understand?
Honor,
Yes?
I apologize. That should be DA, the first victim in count 1. So I will need to amend to correct the initials of DA, which is, like I said, again, victim 1.
All right, so it should be DS.
No, but it should be DA. It
Okay.
accidentally puts DS. So it would be victim number 1 on the confidential information form, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. Hutchinson, on count number 4, the state put the initials DS. That was a clerical error. It's supposed to be DA, and they're identified in the confidential information form, okay? Do you understand that?
yeah,
So the victim in count number 4 has the initials DA. So now do you understand, and they're going to file an amended information with that information, but do you understand the allegation against you for count 4?
Yes,
All right, and this is a Class C felony punishable by a maximum 5 years imprisonment and a $10,000 fine, as well as court fees in the amount of $525, and again, a mandatory minimum of 2 years imprisonment. Do you understand?
yes.
All right, do you have any questions about the nature of the charges against you, the maximums or minimums?
No,
All right, one of the rights that you have in this matter is the right to an attorney. Would you like to represent yourself, apply for court-appointed counsel, or hire your own attorney?
I'll have to think on it.
All right. All right, and due to the fact that these are felony level counts, I'm not going to be taking a plea today. This will be set up for a preliminary hearing on, Madam Clerk, what date would the preliminary hearing be? Is there a Dickey? Oh, there we go.
Sorry, Judge, July 25th or August 29th?
All right. What's your preference? Do you have a preference, Ms. Rademacher, or Madam Clerk?
I guess just in the event that Mr. Hutchinson needs additional time to, if he's going to talk to an attorney, it may be advisable for the later date, but either way, we have 30 to 60 days, so I'm comfortable with either one.
All right, we'll do July 29th.
Judge, that's July 25th,
Oh, sorry, 25th at what time?
9 a.m.
All right, so your next court hearing is going to be July 25th, 2024 at 9 a.m., which will be a preliminary hearing. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Means I'm incarcerated for that long.
Well, that's what we're going to take up next is the issue of
Just
bonds.
means I'm incarcerated, Judge,
Yeah, at this
until the
time,
25th.
at this time, we're going to
I'm
take
not
up.
a flight risk.
First, I'm going to hear,
risk.
sir. First, I'm going to hear from the state, and then you'll get your opportunity to speak. So, Ms. Rademacher.
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant, the only criminal history he had was a deferred imposition of sentence on a reckless driving approximately 2 years or about 3 or 4 years ago now. So that case
That
has
was supposed
ultimately
to
been.
be
Sir,
deleted off my record.
Mr. Hutchinson, please refrain from talking. I'm going to hear from the state first.
And that case was ultimately dismissed, as the defendant was stating, pursuant to a deferred imposition. So the state's not alleging that he has a criminal history. The state's not alleging that he's going to be a flight risk. Where the state really is concerned is relative to the safety of others. There are 3 different victims in this matter. The defendant walked into the house. These individuals are indicating that they are familiar with Mr. Hutchinson, but have no relationship with him. He merely walked into their house and brandished this 22 caliber firearm, which was fully loaded at the time, and aimed it at these 3 different victims. Essentially telling them that he was going to kill them. In the course of the investigation, law enforcement has been notified that this is not the first time that Mr. Hutchinson has done this to other individuals, including family members. And so we are looking at obtaining additional information relative to that. But we did receive credible information from a son and a daughter of Mr. Hutchinson indicating that they themselves have had this happen. So the state does have serious concern about the safety of others. And given the flagrant kind of disregard of everyone's safety by merely walking in somebody's residence unannounced, unwelcomed, and uninvited. So the state is asking for a $25,000 cash bond or a $50,000 surety. And the state is asking for no contact relative to, it would be Dustin Ainsworth, Derek Ainsworth, and Tiffany Stallings. Furthermore, the state is asking that the defendant
Is
as a
it,
condition.
sorry, is it Derek Ainsworth?
There's Derek, excuse me,
Derek David?
Derek, David, and then Tiffany Stallings.
Okay.
Which you all know.
And furthermore, the state is requesting that the defendant, as a condition of his bond, not be permitted to possess a firearm. And we're asking that any firearms be surrendered to law enforcement pending the outcome of this matter.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Rademacher. All right, Mr. Hutchinson, what can you tell me about whether or not you're a flight risk and whether or not you're a danger to others? And please don't state anything about this case. You have the right to remain silent. That's one of your rights, but only for bond purposes. What do you want me to know about that?
I'm not a flight risk. I own a house or paying for a house in Oaks, North Dakota. I'm not going anywhere, either back and forth to court or in my house or here for whatever many days. All I know is I'm incarcerated right now and I do have the right to go back to my home.
All right. Anything else you want the court to know, sir?
No, I'm retired.
All right. And again, just for your clarification, I know you indicated or you had a question about some of the charges and that I think I heard a question in there, I thought I was already charged with this, but the state is alleging 3 separate victims on those matters, just so you're aware. Do you understand that?
Yes,
All right.
those 3 separate victims were in my
Correct.
house in December.
Yep. And we don't need to get into the case.
I
I just
can't
want you,
stop messing up. That's why I went over to talk to these people.
sir, I just wanted you to be aware
Yeah.
of that's how it was charged, just so you're aware. All right, so based off the information that the court has heard from both the defendant and the state's attorney, the court does have a serious concern that you are a danger to others, specifically the nature of the charges alleged in this case. And the court does feel it's appropriate to set bond in the amount of cash, $20,000, or surety appearance bond in the amount of $20,000 by execution of a bail bond in that amount with sufficient solvent sureties approved by the court, or the execution of a corporate surety bail bond by a licensed bail bond company. Additionally, you shall comply with the following checked conditions of release. You shall not violate the laws of any city, state, or nation. You shall not come within 300 feet of the alleged victims, and you shall not have contact, direct or indirect, with alleged victims or alleged victims' immediate family except through the defendant's attorney. You shall not have contact with the prosecution's witnesses, and you are specifically prohibited from any contact with Derek Ainsworth, David Ainsworth, and Tiffany Stallings. You've been charged with a crime of violence or threat of violence, stalking, harassment, or sexual offense. Any violation of this no contact order constitutes a Class A misdemeanor criminal offense punishable by up to 360
Excuse me,
days in
Your
prison
Honor.
and a fine of $3,000. Yes?
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes. Yes.
You said sexual offense?
Well, that was an or in there, but you've actually been charged with a crime of violence or threat of violence. That was the important part. I'll cross out the other part.
It's amazing that is the part that absolutely not, Judge, and I can prove it. I have not refilled my Viagra prescription.
Any violation of this no contact order constitutes a Class A misdemeanor criminal offense punishable by 360 days in prison and a $3,000 fine. If a law enforcement officer determines there is probable cause that the defendant has violated this no contact order, the officer shall arrest the defendant whether or not the violation was committed in the officer's presence. The state's attorney shall provide a copy of this order to the victim. You shall not leave the state of North Dakota. If you hire an attorney, you shall maintain appropriate contacts with your defense attorney. If indigent defense counsel is appointed, the contact must be weekly. Your attorney is obligated to report a lack of contact to the court. You shall notify the court of any change of address, employment, or phone number. You shall sign a waiver of extradition. You shall not possess a firearm, destructive device, or other dangerous weapon. You shall personally appear for all scheduled court hearings and appearances in this matter unless excused by the court or a proper waiver of appearance is filed by your attorney. Again, your next court date is July 25th, 2024 at 9 a.m. at the Dickey County Courthouse in Ellendale, North Dakota. Do you intend to fill out a court appointment application or hire your own counsel or represent yourself, sir?
Like I said, I'll think about it.
All right, at this time, I won't require you to fill out a court-appointed application, but you have the opportunity to do so at any time. If you're unable to secure your release after 48 hours, you can put in a request for a modification. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes,
All right, anything else from the state?
Your Honor, you did indicate that he was required to not possess a firearm. The state had asked for the additional condition of surrendering those to law enforcement. I'm just asking if the court is going to add that or if the court omitted it on purpose.
All right, that was unintentional. I meant to include that. So you shall turn in any firearms that you currently have in your possession upon your release to the Dickey County Sheriff's Department. All right. Anything else from the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Hutchinson, in this matter, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Be safe, be well, sleep sweet, and much love.